Hey guys, this is Bradley Benner, and in this video I'm going to talk about 5 steps for improving page speed for WordPress sites. Page load time has become more and more of a ranking factor recently, and a lot of that has to do with so many searches being performed on mobile devices. Okay, so sites that load slowly typically won't rank as high as sites that do, if all other things are equal. Another important part of page load time is for visitor or user experience. People generally don't like to wait for a page to load, and in fact there's been a lot of studies and statistics show that pages that load under, I believe, or over 2 seconds, people will generally bounce back on like 60%, something like that. And I don't have hard facts for you guys on that, but you can look it up and find a lot of statistics about users not liking pages that load slowly. Okay, they'll hit the back button, which is considered a bounce, and go find another page that does load faster. So it's very important, and in this video we're going to talk about the simplest and easiest steps that I have found to speed up a site. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that you can do, but again, about 80, you can speed up the site with just a few simple steps. It will make considerable improvements. And then if you still need to do additional stuff, there's certainly more that you can do, but I like to do this as quickly and as easily as possible with as little work. So we're going to walk through that. So the first thing you want to do is you want to hop over to gtmetrics.com. You can create a free account there and you can test your site speed, and we're going to jump into that. And I'm going to use my video blog as a demo. Okay, so this is really poor. That's part of the reason I chose this particular site, because it's a new site, new blog, and I wanted to speed it up. And this is a good example of how the type of improvements that we can make very quickly. So there's 2 different sections here you want to look at. There's page speed and why slow. Why slow is an older Yahoo metric. It's been around for a long time, and still very valuable for judging the speed of a site. Okay, and here there are instructions. These are each different segments or sections that they're looking at, different signals that they're rating, and you can come in and by clicking on them, it will give you more information about the files that it's looking at, the different items of the page, that sort of thing. If you hover over this bubble box over here, it's going to give you some more information, and then there's the read more button, and if you open that up, it will give you even more information. So if you want to learn about what each one of these are, spend some time in here to familiarize yourself with what each one of these are. Okay, then the other section is why slow. Why slow will give you a lot of other suggestions that you can do, and you'll see that we've got several of them here that we can very quickly take care of using the W3 Total Cache plugin. So if we jump back over here, we can see that we're definitely going to want to speed this site up. So number 2 is optimizing images. That's pretty much the first thing you should do for your site. And moving forward, if you don't already know this, when you go to upload an image to the site to use in a post or to put on a page, you want to resize your image before loading it to your WordPress site to the dimensions that you want them on the page. So often I've seen people that will upload a huge file size, a large image, to their WordPress site, and then they'll use the WordPress editor to resize it for the page or the post. That's not a good thing, because when you upload a large file size, a large image, you're actually, first of all, you're increasing the size on your database, which will over time will slow down your server. Number 2, the server is still going to load the entire page each time somebody, or the entire image each time somebody views the page, but they're only going to display the dimensions that you set. So it takes longer for that image to load, and so generally you're always going to want to determine what the size is, the dimensions of the image before loading it to the WordPress site. Using an image editor, you can resize it, such as Photoshop or GIMP or even Microsoft Paint. Okay, so make sure that you're resizing the image. Number 2, and I've got a mind map here that I created. Number 2 is to use JPEG when transparency is not needed. Okay, PNG files will give you the ability to have the transparent background, but JPEG images, if you don't need transparency, convert the file to a JPEG. It will considerably reduce the file size, a whole lot actually. So use JPEG when that is not necessary. Okay, so that's it for optimizing images. The next thing we want to do is install W3 Total Cache plugin. This is the plugin that I use. I found this to be the quickest and the easiest to set up, so that's the one that I use. So we're going to jump over to the dashboard of my blog, and I'm going to go to Plugins, Add New. I'm going to type in W3 Total Cache, install it. Activate it. Okay, now that it's been activated, we want to go over here to the Performance tab. That's for the caching plugin, and we're going to go to General Settings. And what I like to do is come down and check Page Cache. Make sure you enable that. Make sure that it's disk enhanced, and then scroll down to make sure that Database Cache and Object Cache are not enabled. Okay, looks alright, so I'm going to hit Save All Settings. Now, if we jump back over to the notes for a minute, we just enabled caching, and we're gonna check browser caching and page caching. We're gonna check those settings right now. All right. So we're gonna jump back over here, and keep in mind, if we go back to GTmetrix, we're gonna see that it says Add Expires Header. It's gonna say to compress components with gzip. And it's gonna say to configure entity tags. Okay. So those three right there are three of the really of the 6 big ones that we need to take care of. And if we look at page speeds too, a lot of times we're going to see where it says Add Expires Header, and it doesn't look like I'm seeing that. Most of the time I'll see that on whatever theme WordPress theme we're using. Oh, there's Add Expires Headers there. Alright, so we're going to jump back over here, and we're going to go click on the browser cache, and then we'll come down here and we're going to set Expires Header. We're going to set the entity tags. Okay, we'll scroll down and look, make sure everything looks alright. I like to come scroll through the rest of these settings. Generally when you check them up here, it's going to check them down here, but I like to just make sure. So we've got gzip compression enabled. Everything looks good, so I'm going to hit Save All Settings. Alright, then we're going to come back over here and we're going to go to Page Cache. Click that. And in here, if you're using your feed to syndicate your content, which you should be, I still check this, but what I'll do is make sure after I've saved the settings, I'll go and finish my work on page speed. Then I will go double check the feed to make sure that it's still working properly. And if it's not, then just come back in and uncheck this box. But I like to cache this as well. Okay. Then we also like to cache this one here, which is request for only. So you're getting, if you're building links and people are building links to you and they're linking to you properly, then this is how you want that checked. And then I also use don't cache pages for logged in users. That way it doesn't mess you up when you're working on something and you don't see the changes being made. It's because you're viewing a cached page. Okay, so, and then I'm going to hit Save All Settings. Okay, and we'll jump back over the notes for a minute. Now that's it. Very quickly, we got caching enabled, and now we want to optimize the database. Okay, so we're going to jump back in, and there's a couple ways to optimize the database. What I like to do, and I'm actually going to add this to the notes, is for optimizing the database. Install GD Press Tools plugin. Alright, so we're going to jump back into the dashboard, go to Plugins, Add New, and we're going to look for GD Press Tools, and we're going to install that, and we want to activate it. Okay, now that I've added a new plugin, we're going to want to empty the page cache. You'll see that come up every time you add a plugin. Alright, and then we're going to come over and we're going to optimize the database, and let me show you that. Okay, we're over here at database optimization. We just added the WordPress Tools plugin, so we're going to go to the database tab and then click on all tools, or click on tools I should say. So let's go over to WordPress Tools. We're going to go to database. Now this is a fairly new blog, so there's not a lot of edits have been made to the posts. Generally with an older blog you're going to have a lot more database overhead because it's going to, you know, you've had a lot more activity on the site, you've done a lot more things, but this one's fairly light right now because there's not been a lot of work done on it. I mean, it's a new blog, but you want to go to tools, and where it says optimize database, click clean, and this is going to remove a bunch of unnecessary like archived edits and things like that. Okay, so that's it. Now you'll see the overhead column, all of those values have been released or removed. So that's, you'll see those values in red before you click the clean button, and it'll show you how much just junk has really accumulated. And again, on older blogs you'll see a lot in there, and you can remove, it's just like cleaning, you know, wiping unnecessary temporary files off your PC, your desktop. Okay, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come over to the post tab and delete any post revisions, and this is where I was talking about additional post revisions that you'll see, and you'll see that we have 36 post revisions right here that can be removed. So these are archived revisions. Generally you'll never go back to a previous revision, so there's no reason on note to save those. Okay, so we're going to hit delete. And this is also where you can delete comments. If you get a bunch of spam comments, you can do that right here as well. Okay, so now that we have these steps done, which is the easy part, we're going to go back and test it at GTmetrix again, and we're going to make a note of it ahead of time that we were at 63 and 66 was our speed. Okay, so we're going to go back to retest page over here, and I'm going to write that down, 63, 66. Click retest page. Okay, so we're at 70 and 76, so still could be some work done on this site. But it's gone up a lot. It's gone up 7 points here and 10 points here. So that's made considerable improvements. And one of the things that I would do next, see, here's a suggestion about minifying JavaScript and CSS. You might see it over here as well. It says minify CSS right here, which is not too big of an issue. It's at a B right now. This is something that can be done. Okay, right here I've got in the notes the mind map, compression and minification. You can do that with the W3 Total Cache plugin, but it can create some problems. Okay, it can cause stuff to not work properly on your site. So there is a way around that to actually, there's a way to minify CSS and JavaScript without breaking certain files on the site. But it's a very labor-intensive process, and so I'm not going to cover that in this video. And then the next thing that we could do is we could install a CDN, a content delivery network, if still needed. Now for this particular site, because it didn't speed it up as much as I had hoped, I'd like to get in both into the Bs, which would be 80 plus. I will install a content delivery network, but I'm going to have to do that on another video, and I'll do that as a follow-up video and add that as well. But so the next step, optional if needed, and in this case we're going to need it, is to set up a content delivery network. And there's lots of different ones that you can use. I happen to use Amazon. I happen to use the Amazon CloudFront. Okay, and that can be set up through W3 Total Cache as well. But there's also some additional ones that you can use. Cloudflare is another one. Max CDN is another one. So there's a bunch of different options you can use. There's Max CDN right there. So it just depends on which CDN, content delivery network, you want to use. Again, I just use Amazon CloudFront, and it generally is very cheap, like pennies per month per site. Okay, will help, and you can speed up the delivery of files from your site. Okay, that's what a content delivery network will do. So With that said, I'm going to wrap this video up. This was 5 steps for improving page speed for a WordPress site, and you can see that we made some considerable improvements with just in about 15 minutes of time. And actually, once you've got the hang of this, you can run through these in 5 minutes flat, and you'll see a lot of times for a lot of sites you'll see a huge improvement in speed just from doing what I showed you. And in the next video, the follow-up video, we'll set up a CDN. This is Bradley Benner with How to SEO. For more information and videos like this, come follow me at howtoseo.us.